Hello everyone, well this is something different for a Sunday, yes. Now I, like a lot of people during the 80s, recorded stuff off the radio onto those funny little cassette things, yes. Unfortunately, I recorded a lot of things off the radio. Yes, in fact, I recorded every single song that was in the top 40 from 1980 until 1992. Yes, I was very robust in that as well. In fact, you could almost say obsessional. Now, on the very rare occasions when I had to not be at home at 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon for the top 40, I did actually just record the whole thing and then edit out all the DJing later. That's how obsessed I was, yes. But anyway, decades ago now, I think it's probably decades ago, maybe only about 15 years ago, I converted all this stuff onto CDs at the time, but it's now been converted onto MP3 files for the computer. And I've just come across this while just searching for some music. Anyone who remembers Radio 1 back in the day, there used to be a DJ called Simon Bates. And he used to do a segment every morning at 11 o'clock called Our Tune. Yes, you'll probably remember it if you were around in those days, but maybe if you're not, this may be a little bit of nostalgia for you. So I'm going to play this for you right now. It's audio only. It's Simon Bates's Our Tune. There's two parts to it. There's one part which lasts about 9 minutes, and then the second part is what happens, what usually happened was he did the Our Tune, then he played a record, and then there was a little sort of epilogue at the end, and that's what happened. I've got the epilogue as well. It's the only Our Tunes I ever recorded. I've no idea why, but maybe it just struck a chord. I don't know. I don't even know what it's about because I haven't heard this for decades, maybe 30 years. I'm not quite sure. But here it is, everyone. I'm going to play it for you now. Simon Bates's Our Tune.
House of Commons, there's been a few answers made about the convoy that was attacked in Bosnia yesterday. Tamdi Yell's been on his feet, and there'll be more about that on Newsbeat a little later on. It's 10.5 minutes after 11, time for Our Tune. Ahead of a reminder that Jackie Brambles is live from the Brit School in London at 12:45. So, here is, again, one of those stories. You never know about extrasensory perception. You never know either about the truth, the absolutely unprovable truth of those things that reach out from beyond the grave. I don't know. We were talking about this in the office yesterday after I talked to Travis Walton. You'd like to believe in things. Sometimes you do believe in things. And then sometimes you're very cynical about what you hear. This one, it's impossible to be cynical about. Have a listen. Story of Nicky and Paul, basically. They come from Wales. That'll do. Within 2 weeks of meeting, Nicky was 16, Paul was 24. He asked her to marry him. She agreed straight away. They got married in 1981 when she was 16 and he was 24. Moved into their own house. Only had one room to live in. It was a dreadful winter, fierce snowstorms. All the furniture they had was a bed, 2 chairs, a coffee table, a small black and white portable TV, and her old stereo. But they were happy. Then tragedy struck. His mother was taken ill with a brain tumor. They were advised by the doctor that it was terminal. She was given a year at most to live. And Paul came up with an idea. He said that maybe, just maybe, if they had a baby, if Nicky became pregnant, it would give his mum something to look forward to. Nicky wasn't exactly averse to the idea of having a baby, so she agreed, and in July 1982 she came off the pill. By the end of August she was confirmed to be pregnant, but unfortunately Paul's plan didn't work. In December that year she died and they buried her. May of the following year, 83, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Things went well, and Paul turned out to be the ideal father. He just adored his daughter. As soon as she could, he put her on his shoulders and walked everywhere with her. They sang nursery rhymes. He taught her the ABC. By the time she was 10 months old, Nicky was pregnant again, and by this time, things weren't too easy. Paul was out of work. They had no money for extras, but they loved each other, and that was enough. So the cuddles made up for the lack of things that they had. A second daughter arrived in November 84, and once again, he was a terrific father, did everything for the 2 girls. Smelly nappies, no problem. Upset tummies, no difficulty at all. Sleepless nights, a speciality. He never actually woke his wife. He just got up, looked after the kids, and took them downstairs and cuddled them off to sleep. And very often, Nicky would get up in the morning and find him curled up fast asleep on the settee with one or both of the babies in his arms. In December 85, Nikki found out she was pregnant again, but this wasn't good. Somehow there was something wrong with the pregnancy, and somehow Nikki knew there was something wrong with the pregnancy. The previous 2 pregnancies had been very easy. Everything had followed its normal course. But this one was uncomfortable. She was ill. She felt lousy. She felt low. And after a while, everything was confirmed. The tests that she had done at the local hospital confirmed that she had a baby with spina bifida. On January the 19th, after a lot of advice and a lot of heart searching, she was admitted to hospital for a controlled miscarriage. And after that, miserable, upset, guilty as well, she went home to the safety and comfort of Paul's arms. Over the next few weeks after the controlled miscarriage, her mood plummeted. She felt that she'd killed a child, she felt guilty about it, and she felt that she didn't deserve to live. And after a small and unimportant argument, she tried to take her life. She was convinced she'd killed a perfectly healthy baby, that a mistake had been made by the hospital, and that she should never have agreed to what she did. She decided she didn't deserve to live, and so she did the classic. She went to the bathroom cabinet and she took all the pills out and stuffed them down her throat. Luckily, Paul caught her at it. He made her, dragged her to the lavatory, forced her head down over the bowl, made her be sick, made her drink plenty of water and lemonade, made her talk to him. He also talked to her, and then took her to the hospital. And it was while those hysterical, foul, dreadful 8 hours were going on that she realized just how selfish she'd been. He'd lost a baby too. He was grieving himself, but because she was in such a state, he'd taken his feelings and buried them. They decided that they should talk to the lady from the hospital one more time. And the next morning, after phoning her, she arrived and sat down and discussed everything. And it was this lady who was just wonderful and understood what Nikki had been going through and explained the real problems that the baby had had, the total inadequacies. Everything was wrong physically with it. Eventually, it would have died inside her, probably taken her with it. And things really improved after that. The doctor put her on folic acid tablets. She ate green vegetables until they came out of her ears. And in March, she found out she was pregnant again. Paul, though, was still out of work. Money really tight, and they started falling behind on the mortgage. And it was about this time that the government was saying everything was okay, not to worry about it, and lots of people were steadily getting out of work. Eventually, they were evicted from their home, moved to a hostel in Penarth, and then down the road, they settled into a council house, which was provided for them. Just 3 doors down from them were a smashing couple. They had 2 girls about the same age as Nikki's eldest, but they had a beautiful house. They had a car, and they had everything that Nikki didn't. She started to envy them, inevitably. Rows started, and eventually Paul and Nikki had a huge one. And when they calmed down, they sat and they talked. And Paul said, look, whatever happens, I've got to get a job. This is just crazy. He had no qualifications, nothing available, so he went on one of the government training schemes. The course ended, then he enrolled on a new one, and pretty soon he was taken on as a storeman with a view to becoming a training officer himself. With family credit, with Paul's wages and family allowance, things were definitely looking up. He loved his job, and after a while, they sent him on another course because they had a lot of confidence in him, which he passed with honors, and the management told him they were going to pay for extra tuition on a regular basis. They needed an educator that could take the younger lads out of their jobs and help with training, and you can imagine Paul was ecstatic. From being unemployed, he had something to look forward to, and also something that he liked doing, which was communicating with other people. But the problem was he was working incredibly hard. I mean, he was an 18-hour-a-day man. He'd been coming in from work feeling knackered. He would often go to bed for an hour when he got in, was drinking a lot, a lot of fluid. He always had a very sweet tooth, but to give him a buzz, he'd stuff the chocolate down his throat. And on the 5th of June, when he came home from work feeling really tired, he started complaining of indigestion. Went to bed. The next day, the indigestion was still there, but he insisted on going to work. Nikki asked him to stay home, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't see the doctor. The following day, the same thing. He still wouldn't see a doctor, and he still wanted to go to work, and she told him that she'd phone for an appointment. He got up the following day, as usual for work, woke her at 7:30 to see him off, and on the front doorstep, he kissed her and said, "Don't forget, always love you," which he always said, and away he went. He got to work, and 90 minutes after he got to work, he was rushed to the Royal Infirmary with pains in his chest. He was dead by the time they got him there. He'd had a massive heart attack. He was dead within minutes. Now, crying quietly to herself after she'd been told the news and after she'd been told what had happened, she found herself thinking inwardly. She got over the panic of being told that he was dead. She'd got over the panic of what to do with the girls. She knew, because she was an organised lady, that there were a number of things to get through. The registering of the death, the funeral to arrange, the family to inform, all the business of going through the administrative nonsense, really, the paperwork on someone who you love. And she was sitting at home, crying quietly to herself, and she found herself panicking a little inwardly and saying to herself, how the hell am I going to cope without you? Paul had always been the strength, and Paul had always been the one who organised. It was Paul who'd been the person who filled in the forms, who said, don't panic. It was Paul who'd been absolutely solid when it came to the administration, the daily accounts, the writing to the council, whatever needed to be done. It had been Paul who had been her strength, and she just couldn't imagine life without him. And that's when maybe it was her imagination, maybe it was just a fantasy, maybe it was just something on the wind, maybe it was nothing at all, just her own thoughts coming back to her. But in her mind, she could hear him quite clearly say, Nikki, cope for me, take my strength and put it with yours. The girls need you more than ever now. Be strong for them, and please remember that I will always love you. And it was on the last words that his voice just faded away.
Wow, well that certainly brings me back. That was Simon Bates's Our Tune. Of course, the song was then played, which I can't play obviously for copyright reasons. And then there was a part 2, an epilogue to the story, of course, and I'm going to play that for you right now.
For a long time after the funeral, inevitably, she was unable to cope and used to sit at home moping. And then about a year after the death of her husband, she decided to go out. She decided to actually make herself live in the real world, which Nikki did. And about that time, she bumped into Paul's best friend, and he said if ever she wanted a break from the house for the night, he'd be glad to take her out. And plucking up the courage, and with her brother encouraging her, she contacted him. They arranged for a night, and she got dolled up, new clothes and all that. Mum had the kids at her house. The two of them hit the town, they danced, they talked, they laughed, and he showed her a good time. And eventually, they made their way back to the house. Nothing happened. Since then, she has slept with him. Nothing else. Doesn't want anything else. She's shared a bed with him. To her surprise, she now gets more offers than she used to. But she doesn't feel that sex is really at the moment the thing she wants. That's still to come. She goes out, though, every Friday night regularly, starts making friends, and has herself a part-time job in a shop. She's trying her best to pull through. Someone told her once that time is a great healer, but it's taken more than a year, and still she misses Paul terribly. It's the small things. But at least now she can talk about him without bursting into tears, though she loves him just as much now as she did when he was alive. But she knows that for the kids, if not for her, life has to continue. And that's what it's about. Two things. The business of actually picking up the threads of her life and getting a decent mattress sewn out of them. And also the business of that voice that made her sit up and take notice, and might have been wishful thinking.
What's up, lady? Hope that's your...
Well, there you go. That, I say, back in the day was absolutely essential. Simon Bates' Our Tune, 11 o'clock. I think it was every weekday morning. And there you go. These were stories that people had sent in, of course. And he read them out live on air. Those were the days. And if you sort of analogize that and look to this year, 2026, it sort of puts everything into perspective about how we seem to be really self-absorbed, self-obsessed with everything that everyone else is doing, and we don't really take the time to worry about what we're doing and looking after ourselves and our families, which is the most important thing. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I promise there'll be Formula One content soon. Yes, I'm not going to start diversifying. This was purely just something that I found today in my massive archive and thought I'd share it with you. Now, YouTube might not let me share it with you. We will find out. Thank you and goodbye.